Eurogamer reports, script surfaces for long-lost Deus Ex movie. I don't know if the title of this video makes any sense to you because personally, I forgot all about this. Perhaps it was due to the reputation that video game film adaptations carry, my somewhat lack of interest in Hollywood movies, or Square Enix proving once again how terrible they are at publishing with how they're handling the Deus Ex franchise. Either way, here we are in 2022, 8 years after the release of Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, talking about a film adaptation of Deus Ex Human Revolution, a game from 2011. Now look, I love Deus Ex. Almost any gamer would tell you that the original is one of, if not the best game ever made, and someone somewhere is reinstalling it as I speak. I even enjoy the sequel, Invisible War, which, by the way, is impossible to get running on modern systems. I've tried everything. If anyone has a solution, then please, for the love of Helios, tell me in the comments section. Human Revolution was my favorite game of 2011. Mankind Divided?
Square Enix. Square Enix.
You are the single most worthless human being I've ever met.
I loved it too. Did I think that Deus Ex could have films based on it? Absolutely. But I almost never think that a direct adaptation of the storyline told in a game could translate well into a movie. There's just too much going on. You're gonna condense a 40+ hour game into, at max, 3-hour movie? That's why the Mass Effect film never made sense to me. But these universes are vast enough that there are plenty of other stories to be told within them. That being said, the Missing Link DLC actually could be turned into a pretty decent film on its own. I should know, since I already did it. Through clever use of mods, gameplay tricks, and video editing, I turned not only the Missing Link, but the entirety of Human Revolution into a series of seamless cinematics. I treated it like a serialized TV show rather than a 12-hour film. To all the YouTubers who produce video game movies, you're doing good work, but in my opinion, this is the most optimal way. I want to do the same thing with the original Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, and Mass Effect. I already have the console commands figured out for Mass Effect, but I'm gonna need a better GPU first. And if you want to help me get one, then you can tap that like button.
Enough about you, let's talk about me.
Technological progress is like an axe in the hands of a pathological criminal. Albert Einstein. The following was written by Tom Phillips, and as always, I will be leaving a link to the original article in the description box below. Around a decade ago, plans were in place for director Scott Derrickson and co-writer C. Robert Cargill to adapt Eidos Montreal's popular cyberpunk shooter into a film. But it wasn't to be. Yes, it's not exactly a shooter, but an immersive sim, I know. But let's just give it a pass. The duo were looking at films such as District 9, Looper, and Inception for inspiration. 3 films that I've seen, and 3 films that I enjoyed, just for inspiration though. Aliens?
Clapping some alien cheeks.
Yeah, but no cheeks are clapped
where's
at
the
all.
cheeks?
Those actually could make an appearance in a Deus Ex film, but I doubt they'd be crazy enough to put time travel or, let's call it dreamscaping, in a Deus Ex movie. One thing they definitely cannot do, at least not anymore, is adapt the original game, where the story is about a pandemic and how the virus is man-made, and a cabal of corporations are making money hand over fist and controlling the population by being the only ones manufacturing a cure.
Why contain it?
Derrickson and Cargill were snapped up by Marvel to make Doctor Strange, and without the duo on board, production company CBS Films lost interest and moved on. I'm really sad CBS Films fumbled the ball on this project. Movie exec Scott Kinney, who worked on the project with Derrickson, has now told USA Today they would have knocked Deus Ex out of the park to finally make the first great video game film adaptation. Well, Mr. Kinney is not lacking in confidence. Then again, he wasn't lying about what it could have been, since back in my day,
You damn kids!
the best we had was the original Mortal Kombat. And I mean, on a technical level, yeah, it's not exactly a masterpiece. Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
Mother. You're alive. Too bad you will die.
Good God Almighty.
Never give up hope.
I found this Wikipedia article listing films based on video games. Then I placed them in descending order of Rotten Tomato percentages. At the top with 86% was something called Werewolves Within. It was based on a virtual reality game by the same name that I personally never heard of. But dead last, surpassing legends like Street Fighter, the aforementioned Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and every single film ever made by U-Ball, we have Tekken, and it's not hard to see why.
No one has to die.
Script excerpts published by USA Today show the film would have begun with an Albert Einstein quote: "Technological progress is like an axe in the hands of a pathological criminal." The action would then have begun with a scene of Adam Jensen working out. Okay, so kinda like this. Jensen is shown to be skeptical of augmentation, though not fully dismissive. Much of the plot will be familiar to anyone who played the original Human Revolution game, and indeed the adaptation was worked on in parallel with progress at Eidos Montreal. Really? So on the download they decided to try and make a movie before the full game was even released. Then why make it a direct adaptation of the same story? Why not make a companion film of something that was happening alongside the events of the game? This was a year before The Avengers was released, so I guess it was before production studios were fully convinced on transmedia storytelling, I guess. Maybe a story revolving around a heavily anti-augmentation detective who got too close to the truth, who's forced into adopting augmentations himself, leading to what we like to call character development. He refuses to get a certain chip replacement due to what he's uncovered, and we see how his story was upended once a certain incident comes around.
I'll live for the truth, for revenge. Whoever hired those suits, I'm going after those sons of bitches.
Anybody got any other ideas they can leave in the comments? It took me like 5 minutes to come up with this one.
I'll play along with this little after-school special you got going on here.
One big diversion from the plot of the game is that Jensen actively chooses to be augmented, rather than having his augmentations forced upon him. That would be a mistake. If there's a meme going around, you gotta capitalize on that.
I never asked for this.
He said it! He said it!
There's a fair bit of cheesy dialogue, but if you fancy reading more, it's an interesting window into what could have been. They leave a link here to the original article by Kirk McKean of USA Today, and we'll get to it. Apparently, the production company communicated that Deus Ex wasn't the kind of film they wanted to make or felt comfortable making. That their overall strategy was shifting from action films like Dwayne Johnson's Faster, which they had previously financed, to films more like The Duff. Okay, so they wanted to stop producing crap so that they could produce more crap. My ex-girlfriend actually had me sit through The Duff.
Her?
But let's go ahead and take a look at the script. It all starts with an Albert Einstein quote and a workout montage. Yeah, technological progress like an axe in the hands of pathological criminal Albert Einstein. Yeah, I got it. Fade in. The sound of deep and controlled breaths like a metronome set against the pounding of feet on asphalt. Exterior, running path, pre-dawn. The sun's penumbra illuminates a slow-moving river. Light refracts off of dew-covered grass. A drop quivers and falls as a pair of running shoes moves by fast. We go with them. Pull up to reveal the owner. His sweat-soaked running shorts and a tank top cover an athlete's body. Long and lean, with well-defined muscles. He angles off the running path towards an open-air workout area. Pull-up bars, free weights, an obstacle course, etc. As he slows, we see his face. 30s, handsome, with a full head of dark hair. This is a man in his prime. But it's not his appearance that grabs you. It's his eyes. There's an intensity and intelligence to them that speaks to a complicated mind. This is Adam Jensen. Exterior outdoor workout area, pre-dawn. Jensen angles for the pull-up bars, grabs them, and pulls his body up over and over again. Muscles start to twitch and he slows.
Aight, Granddad, dang, you're making me uncomfortable.
He drops to the ground and down, landing on his hands. Push-ups are next. Lots of them. Then he moves to the racked weights. Must be 180 pounds. He starts to bench. As he does, his biceps quiver. 14 reps, 15. If the body is a machine, he is pushing his to its limits and fine-tuning it. His muscles fail. He re-racks the weights.
Catch a Freeman was a sexy man.
He lies on the bench, breathing hard. The first rays of the sun wash over him as it crests the horizon. It's light, refracting off of nearby flowers.
That's good.
After this, we move to Jensen's apartment, where he's talking to his girlfriend, Dr. Megan Reed. The script describes her as beautiful and bookish, which I assume means she looks intelligent and not like some ancient tome. They talk and share a tender moment, but they're disrupted by a news report about a terrorist incident. A group called Purity First has attacked Seraph Industries' manufacturing facility. Megan asks Jensen if he agrees with them about augmentation being inhuman. I understand them. There's a difference. Megan crosses to him, staring at the burning building.
Augments help people.
He takes her in, beautiful. Then he reaches out and puts his hand on her heart.
What are you doing?
Feeling you.
And do you think a cybernetic hand can?
Not like this.
Augs don't change who you are, Adam.
No, but they change what you are. You want me to augment, I will. For you. But I don't want to stop feeling this. Ever. Okay, so one, I know Megan Reed did not have a Russian accent, but I kinda wish she did, since Yelena Fedorova didn't say a word throughout the entire game. I was starved for a Russian accent, and I'm correcting that now. Number two, you're telling me that not only was Jensen actually asking for it, but he was going to do it at the behest of his cutthroat girlfriend?
Cutthroat bitch?
On the way to Seraph Industries, a pop-up advert reminds Jensen that he hasn't taken advantage of his company perks yet. Free augmentations. He strides through the hologram, ignoring it. He also tries to stop Megan from giving an augmented addict some change. I don't know about you guys, but so far this is making me think of Repo Men, starring Jude Law and Forrest Whitaker.
Beat the back of Forrest Whitaker's neck.
When they reach their workspace at Seraph Industries, we're introduced to all the key players, including David Seraph, founder of the company, who I presume is being played by Ludacris. Shortly after, we're introduced to the primary antagonists, Yelena Fedorova, Jaron Namir, and Lawrence Barrett. All are mercenaries who are seemingly working for Purity First. They're gearing up to hit the building Jensen is in. Interior, lobby, Seraph building, continuous. Lights flash and an alarm sounds. A dozen armed Seraph security officers, tactical vests and helmets, military-grade hardware, flood in as the lobby guards usher employees towards elevators. One reacts as an alloy case slides by his feet towards the guards. A beat, and it explodes. Concussive force blows guards back. Others raise their weapons, panning, pushing through the smoky silence. And one is blown back, a hole where his chest had been. Security officers fire as Barrett appears out of the smoke. His coat is gone, revealing the big man beneath, or at least what had been a man. Now, he's entirely something else. A 6'6", 400-pound pit bull mean metal motherfucker with a human head. Everything from the neck down, chest, arms, legs, everything is augmented with chromed out, cutting-edge military-grade cybernetic augmentations. His face is scarred from fire and battle. His temples home to jacks and plugs, and what used to be his eyes are now glossy black digital displays. If anything on God's green earth should give you pause, if anything should make you consider the morality of augmentation, Barrett is it. According to Kinney, Stephen Lang of Avatar would have been his choice for the role. Bradley Cooper from A Star is Born would have been his Adam Jensen. Okay, so they were planning on redesigning Barrett. From the description, it sounds like he was going to be a cross between his own video game model and Gunther Herman from the original, except the eyes are black instead of red. The action sequences such as the one above sound violent and frantic on paper, with augmentations used liberally to rip, tear, and in the case of cloaking devices, defy audience expectations. Jensen thinks the mercs are here for Typhoon, a secret weapon that's in R&D at Seraph, but they're actually here for something called Daedalus.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
Daedalus, where is it? Megan shakes her head. Barrett's eyes shift to Yelena. A razor-sharp blade extends from one of Yelena's hands. It glides down Megan's chest, to her stomach and crotch, lingering on her thigh. A thin trail of blood rises in its wake. I respect your conviction, Doctor. I really do. But nothing David Seraph owns is worth dying for. Megan just stares hate at the big man. But maybe that's just me. Bleeder. Yelena's applying pressure when automatic fire tears through the labs. Slugs smash into Yelena, knocking her off her feet. As Barrett and Janus swings... Janus? I think he meant to write Jaron, as in Jaron Lemire. Although weird how that name went on to be used in the series. Did the writers know what the Eidos Montreal had planned? Was it a completely innocent typo? They were working alongside Eidos' development. Did Eidos see it and ran with the name for their own project? Janus, the two-faced Roman god, ended up working narratively. I don't know, so many possibilities. But anyway, Jensen fires on a cooling tank, a vat of super-cooled liquid used to cool equipment. The liquid vaporizes on contact with air, creating a thick, white mist, obscuring vision. Angle on Megan, staring, and suddenly Jensen's there, grabbing her arm. Come on! Together they run. Barrett steps through the fog and mist, staring at nothing. Yelena and Jaron appears on his left, like wraiths. And Barrett's point of view shifts. Walls fall away, leaving only the outline of studs and wires. And suddenly, he's looking through the wall at the two running heat signatures. Run him down. Seems Lemire isn't the one running the show in this adaptation. Instead, it's Barrett. I guess they wanted a white guy in charge. The mercs eventually catch up with Jensen and beat him to a pulp, taunting him about them being faster, stronger, and smarter than he is, thanks to the augments. They throw him through a plate glass window, leaving shards of glass sticking out of his skin. Deus Ex's action scenes sound brutal, but it was never planned to be an R-rated movie. Wow. Most studios at the time, this was before Deadpool was such a huge hit with an R rating in the US, were not interested in making big budget films intended for adult audiences only, Kinney says. I think it could and should be an R-rated film if made today, and that wouldn't be a hindrance. This part of the script is where it veers from the games in a big way. According to Kinney, the movie team was in constant conversation with Eidos Montreal, who were making Deus Ex Human Revolution at the same time as the movie was being planned out. Every treatment we ever wrote to pitch to studio execs was sent to the game developers for input, Kinney says. The same with the screenplay. We received their notes on every version of the script. Everyone seemed happy with the final result. Everyone. And that's the tragedy of it. It certainly is. The big complaint that we as gamers have had for years was that these adaptations seem to be made by people who do not understand video games, do not understand the source material, and do not care to understand.
I am
adapting a video game,
so I hate you, and I hate
the source material.
At this point in the movie, Jensen wakes up in a hospital. He's not augmented against his will like in the game. He's still very much human. He's angry about losing Megan, who he believes is dead. He has flashbacks to their conversation about augmentations, as well as the Barrett taunting him. He asks David Seraph to kit him out with Typhoon tech so he can get revenge. He literally asks for this.
Anyway, she was asking for it.
And Seraph just gives it to him? A traumatized man? An obviously unstable man on a vendetta God knows what he's willing to do? You're gonna outfit him with military-grade cybernetics and send him off on his merry way? Which kinda brings the video game Seraph's motives into question as well. Sure, in that situation, he needed augmentations to save his life, but he technically didn't have to turn him into a space marine.
They fuck.
Interior, clean room, Seraph tech facility, time unknown. Jensen, eyes closed, lies in a bed, sheet covering his body. He looks normal enough. save a hexagon carved into the left side of his forehead, and 2 metal crescents flanking his eyes. Jensen's eyes snap open. He sits up, quick, confused, and disoriented. As he does, the sheet falls away to reveal his legs and torso. He looks like a man, and more. His chest and arms are covered in titanium-infused sheets grafted to his natural skin. His arms are entirely cybernetic, as are his hands, which are now black and shiny. He looks around, and when he does, his world is one of sensory overload. Colors too bright, sound too loud, like his mind is some kind of perverse echo chamber. Jensen's cybernetically enhanced point of view? He's in a large lab filled with medical and scientific machines, and devoid of life. Megan's necklace rests on a small table, and everything is in ultra-high definition. No shadow can hide you from him. He blinks, and a tactical grid manifests over his POV. Microprocessors record everything he sees, as every item is identified as a possible weapon and/or threat, all in less time than it takes you to blink. Jensen stands, abruptly. He's naked. Seen from the back, we note that his spinal column has been replaced with an alloy frame that attaches to all 4 limbs, and that the lower half of each leg has been replaced with cybernetics. Soon after, Jensen escapes from the hospital and heads out into the world, which he now sees through augmented eyes. He heads back to the park in the opening scene, and we get another workout montage that mimics the opening shots to show how much he has evolved. Then there's a Jason Bourne-esque action sequence where he's set upon by 3 augmentation harvesters. Punk number 2 swings a crowbar at Jensen's head. Jensen's character catches it with his left hand easily and drives his right fist into the punk's solar plexus. Bones break and the man's body is propelled back. Jensen's POV? A mix of sensory overload as punks move fast. Then suddenly the world seems to slow. Punk number 2 is mid-air. The girl is shouting. Punk number 3 is drawing a knife. Punk number 1 is extending his hand, a taser in it, angling for Jensen's chest. And imposed over it all, lines and numbers indicating angles of attack, force, potential damage, assailant strengths and weaknesses, all of it in a fraction of a second. Real time, Jensen pivots, grabbing Punk number 1's hand and twisting it back. Punk number 1 screams as bones snap. Punk number 3 convulses as Jensen drives the taser into his chest. Both drop. Jensen stares down at the broken bodies. 3 seconds and 3 men down. Just like that. As cool as this may sound on paper, in my opinion, I don't think this scene is all that necessary. I understand that they want to show the physical evolution of his character, but they can do that in a scene that actually progresses the main storyline forward. He doesn't have to escape a hospital butt naked. Seraph can visit him, with Jensen raring to go but Seraph talking him down, telling him that he just got heavily augmented. His body and mind still need time to adjust, and so they jump forward in time. He doesn't go back to the park right away. We can view a montage of him at home, physical therapy, the overall struggle of training yourself to use augmentations. The first time he shows off his capabilities doesn't have to be against a couple of random, inconsequential thugs. Thugs of varying genders, it seems, because it's the future. And why are they harvesters? Detroit has the derelict row ballers and Motor City bangers. I get that it's an adaptation, but it's a completely unnecessary change. You can have Jensen travel to China like in the game. The perfect excuse to please Hollywood's Chinese overlords without raising suspicion, come on now. While a lot of these are new scenes created specifically for the movie adaptation, it's done with real love for the source material for the most part. We even get a scene of Jensen sitting and drinking whiskey from a tumbler, topless. Well, it's nice to hear they kept the important bits in, sexy shirtless Jensen. But here he also has a dog called Kubrick, who isn't dead this time. Tong Si-hung, the owner of the Hive nightclub, plays a much larger role in the movie. Wait, so he does go to China, or is Tong living in Detroit? Jensen dupes him for information and ends up getting a hit put out on him for his hubris. Later, after a high-speed car chase, Jensen tricks Tong into coming to the final showdown, where he uses him again, this time as a distraction. The rest of the story sticks closer to the games. The news reporter is revealed to be an AI propaganda machine.
Everybody lies.
Sarah's dirty secrets are unearthed.
I suspected.
And Daedalus is triggered, causing the augmented to lose their minds. Jensen and Megan put a stop to it. Oh, and he gets to use a typhoon system. Okay, so Daedalus is not an AI, and Hugh Darrow is not a character in this. Unfortunately, it doesn't give a reason as to why they wanted the augmented to go crazy. Since Hugh Darrow is absent, I have to assume it was for a different motive. Jensen twists, spins, drops to one knee.
Crease, crumple, cram. You'll do fine.
And bends each arm on either side of him, like a kung fu stance. Small holes pop open along his arms. Whoosh! The typhoon fires. A shockwave from his arms launches small explosive devices in a 360-degree wave. Explosive ball bearings tear over the hostages' heads, impacting the 7 mercs and detonating. Mercs are blasted back violently. The remaining charges pepper the walls, blowing great holes into them. Jensen stares at the aftermath in awe. He had no idea how powerful Typhoon was. When he looks at the hostages, they're staring at him, mouths agape.
Alrighty then.
Interior, Kasan mainframe, Pictus built. Pictus? They meant to say Picus. Picus building. Continuous. Megan hears Jensen's voice through her earbud. Her eyes land on the sense of code shimmering as Yelena approaches.
Get up!
I can't. My systems are failing. Megan's eyes flit to the gun, lying a few feet away.
You're not a machine.
Interior, studio, Picus building, continuous. On Jensen, eyes on Barrett, who jams a clip into his minigun.
You're a man.
And a calm we haven't seen suffuses Jensen, the kind that comes with that ultimately liberating realization that everything you've believed about yourself is somehow wrong. And now, you understand the truth.
Yes, I can!
Get up, Jensen. Was it? I'm not like you, Barrett. You're a fucking hog. Yeah, I am. But what? And Jensen moves, running right at Barrett. Barrett's depressing the trigger when Jensen leaps, a blade extending from his right arm and cutting Barrett's arm clean off. Barrett roars as the arm and gun fall. He swings at Jensen with the other. Jensen rolls, grabbing the arm minigat, lines it. I never asked for this.
Oh, God!
You literally did. And Jensen fires. Rounds blow into Barrett's head. He falls with a thud. It's incredibly jarring considering the quality of the rest of the script, which was revised most recently by Predator's writer Michael Finch. Well, that certainly explains a thing or two. It's clearly a bit of fan service, but he literally did ask for this. In this version of the story, the augmentations weren't forced on him. That seems like a Hollywood one-liner that was added in a revised draft to me, Kinney says. It's hard to totally avoid stuff like that.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Even with that line, there's a lot of potential in the script. Sure, some of it is a bit cliche, and it's a shame it wasn't planned to be R-rated at the time. But this world is perfect for an on-screen adaptation. It's such a visually interesting place, and they could have even played around with the black and gold color grading to reinforce the physical and mental journey Jensen takes. For now though, we'll just have to make do with this. And by this, I'm sure Kirk is referring to the script and this playlist of mine where I turned Human Revolution into a series of seamless cinematics using a combination of mods, gameplay tricks, and clever video editing. But seriously though, I largely agree that the universe is ripe for storytelling, regardless of medium. But from the limited piece we got of it, this script seems to lack the global conspiracy theories that Deus Ex likes to explore. And I know how some people may feel about this, but it's also lacking in political commentary. Deus Ex is one of, if not the most political game ever released. This script seems very cookie cutter, and I think it can largely benefit from the writers being a bit more ambitious. At this point I was going to express my lamentation due to Square Enix owning the franchise and how we could still see a movie, but not a game anytime soon. But since writing and recording this, Square Enix thought it was a good idea to sell off Eidos and Crystal Dynamics so they could invest in NFTs.
Oh wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
You are by far the dumbest,
most pathetic piece of maggot-eating shit that has ever slid from a human being's hairy ass.
A very special thank you goes out to Catatus Meow for being the voice of Megan Reed. She is a fantastic content creator, primarily on Twitch. I will leave all of her social media information below in the description box. A big thank you also goes out to my channel members and Twitch subscribers. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like. If you think I'm a boring idiot, a dislike. The Discord server is also a happening spot, daddy-o, but if you want our relationship to move a little bit slower, just subscribe to the channel so you know immediately when I publish. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace and chicken grease.